talking about bodies and how women feel about bodies. So that jumps in right into category 2, which is what happens in the body during female orgasm. So the question is, orgasm has been described as a reset button. What does this mean?
Well, let me just talk about anatomy for just a second. Actually, fun fact, the little old Jewish man in that video is a good buddy of mine, and I'm going to see him next week. A couple of those people are very active in what's called the International Society for the Study of Women's Sexual Health. So that is our big society. It is an amazing multidisciplinary community that comes together. It's doctors of all different specialties, sex therapists, physical therapists, so pelvic floor physical therapists, which is a whole other thing that we can talk about, sex educators. We all get together and we talk science, and it's so nerdy, and it's all focused on women's sexual health. So that old man there, Barry Kamazurak, is a physiologist who cares about orgasm. He actually wrote the book about female orgasm. And when they talked about how female pain disorders were finally brought up into science, that was an ISWISH created document. So there is people who care about this who are studying it from a scientific perspective. I wrote a paper with my mentor, a couple years ago during my fellowship about the clitoris. It was about the fact that clitorises can have things that go wrong with them. There can be pathology of the clitoris, but no one examines the clitoris regularly. Has a gynecologist ever examined your clitoris? Never. So as a doctor, if I don't listen to heart sounds all the time, hundreds, millions of heart sounds, when I hear that murmur, I'm never going to pick it up, right? When I hear something wrong, I won't know what normal is. So as a gynecologist, if I'm not taught how to see a clitoris, touch a clitoris, or what normal is, how can I diagnose it if there's something wrong? So if you come to me and say, I have clitoral pain, is it normal down there? Well, I've never looked before, but I guess it looks normal. And I'm a urologist. I look at penises all day long, all right? You men drop their pants and everything is just right there. Men have foreskins, some of them, not all of them. But a foreskin, all women who are not genitally mutilated have foreskins, okay? You all have a hood to your clitoris. It's like a sleeve. Did this last time? So you have a clitoris, and then you can see the little head of the clitoris. You should be able to pull back that hood, and you should see the rim around your clitoris. That's called a corona, and actually it looks just like the head of a penis, just a little bit smaller. For our transgender patients, if I have a female who wants to transition into becoming a male, we give high doses of testosterone, and that clitoris grows. It can grow so big that sometimes they can penetrate with it, and they don't necessarily need gender-confirming surgery because hormones are enough to get significant pleasure and a large clitoris. So your clitoris, if you've never looked at it, go home, get your mirrors out, follow your labia minora up, okay, and then you get to the hood. Pull back that hood, and sometimes that hood can get stuck. I have patients who have pain when they get stuck. I have patients who have what's called smegma, which is oils and skin cells that build up underneath that hood and can get stuck under there and cause irritation. So I see patients who've got pain with orgasm, who have irritation with orgasm, or can't have an orgasm because of these restricted tissue levels. And so understanding the anatomy, you are all sitting on your clitorises right now. Men, you're sitting on your penises right now. So you each get to sit on something. You can actually go, if you put your hands under your butt bones, or you've done Pilates, and they talk about your sits bones, your clitoris and your penis insert onto your butt bones. So if you're taking that vibrator or that toy, and there's a lot of them and they're really fun and you should go out and get some, you don't necessarily have to focus on that little head right there. You can focus all around the labia to try to stimulate that orgasm and play around, see what's fun. It might be different for you than for somebody else.
Dr. Ruben just gave me some homework for tonight.
Actually, no, if you really do want homework, there is a worksheet. I work with a group called O School. We do online sex education, and they actually have a build your own orgasm order form. Where it literally like you can check off, okay, do I like it on top of the hood, on the right side, on the left side, how much pressure, what positions do I like? And this is good for you to have for yourself so that you know, okay, because this changes as your body changes and as you get older, so you want to make sure that you just keep this order form, on deck. But it's also really good for talking to your partner, okay? You can say, hey, they have ones for penises too, okay? So you can say, hey, look, here's my order form. Let me see yours. Can we switch? Okay. And now let's try this again. Because at this point, you know, you're eliminating all of those scripts and you're saying, I just want to know what feels good to you. Here's what feels good to me. Let's try this, right? Let's experiment.
These conversations are so scary to start, but once you're brave enough to do it, it's like all of a sudden, like, you know, you're scared, and then you like, let's talk about sex, and the partner's like, okay. And it's like, and then the tension starts to dissolve, and it can turn into a lot of fun, and it can be really, really sexy.
I have a question for my educators here. Is it a good time to have those conversations when you're naked and in the moment, or is it better to do it over coffee?
Definitely, you want to do the order form exchange over coffee, okay? Definitely not, it's when you're hot and heavy, like, okay, here's my order form.
Definitely, if there's anything that's on the negative side, like you don't want it to be like, you know, you're naked, you're exposed. So, yeah, like I think honestly this is true of sexual conversations or non-sexual conversations, is when you're feeling nice, you know, over coffee, over breakfast, walking around, sometimes driving, just like doing something, that can be a good time. And just say, hey, I wanted to talk about sex. Are you up for talking about sex? It's like, okay, let's talk about sex.
I mean, driving is good because you're trapped. So it's a good time to talk to your kids about sex too.
Yes. But also the lack of eye contact. I've heard that sometimes that like if you're across the table, that can be really intimidating.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're physically moving, it kind of deactivates the whole freeze fight, the whole freeze fight or flight thing, because you're physically moving. You know, you're not frozen, you're not fighting, you're not fleeing, you're just moving along. So that can be a good thing. And so that's a really great point. Yeah, is don't do it in the moment. Like, not there, dumbass.
And if you're going to be stressed about it, go ahead and have an orgasm first.
Yes.
Masturbation. Because, so in terms of, so I like this reset button question because I always call it this. My patients come to me and maybe they have pain for years and they don't have a masturbatory pattern. And I'm like, why don't you masturbate? And they're like, I don't know, I stopped liking sex, so I stopped masturbating. And I'm like, but did you stop liking orgasm? Did you stop liking pleasure? And lo and behold, when they stop masturbating, their pain sort of builds and grows and becomes chronic and bigger, and it becomes overwhelming that the vagina is just there for pain. And the vulva is just there for pain. And that's it's the only purpose. In fact, if somebody else wants something from it, but it doesn't do anything for that woman, except give her pain. So I usually use pleasure and masturbation and orgasm as an intentional sort of defined reset. Hey, your brain can't exactly have pain and pleasure at exactly the same time. And if you're going to have pain or, by the way, anxiety, same spot in the brain as pain. So anxiety and pain that sort of build and grow the more you look at them. The same thing happens with pleasure. If you look at the pleasure and you focus on it and you're like, how good does that feel? Actually, that feels pretty damn good. Does it feel even better? Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it feels even better. It's going to grow, just like anxiety does, except it's going to grow in your awareness, and the anxiety is going to get smaller, and the pain is going to get smaller in your awareness. And that's at least psychologically speaking. Physically speaking, there's all kinds of stuff that happens with the nervous system, with arousal and orgasm, that actually are similar to reset in the sense that sleep. Have you ever wondered why, let's say men, people with penises have erections during sleep? So arousal is a function of the parasympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system is the rest and digest, I'm relaxed system. And it's almost like when you're sleeping, you go through a systems check in your body. And women have these arousals as well. Of course, they're just not quite as visible. But they're the lubrication and the blood flow, same thing, happens during sleep. So that's a sort of like systems check. You have a nervous system check. And if you do not feed your nervous system some pleasure and some orgasms, then your nervous system is less balanced.
Y'all are really...
It's like she does it for others.
I know.
Just like I do.